right. We got we got to get to questions, dude.
It's a live show. It happens.
It happens. There we go. There we go. All right, we back. All right. So over under win totals for NFC East right here. Well, let's start it out from the bottom. We'll start with the New York Giants. Over under 7 wins, fellas. What do you think, Irv? Seven
Under.
wins.
No explanation needed. Just under.
I'm going.
Under.
I'm going under. I don't trust the main component, which is the quarterback, which is Danny Dimes, aka Daniel Jones. They did improve through the draft. They had a pretty good draft. That was one of my winners of the draft. They did lose a defensive coordinator though, so I don't like that. He was young and up and coming, pretty good. He went to the Raiders. I don't know what made him want to do that, but he
He's gonna win, dude.
yeah, okay. So let's not. I'm gonna stay on course here. Yeah, I like their pieces. I think the defense could be pretty good. But that offense, I just can't trust it. Can't stay healthy. Danny Dimes is super inconsistent. The wide receiver, Kadarius Toney, got to get his stuff together. He was a first rounder, so I don't know. They could win more than 7, but I don't see it happening. Just
Yeah,
Jones turns the ball over too much for me, and it's never been corrected.
Got flipper
right.
hands, bro. Small hands like a carny. Smells like cabbage.
Yeah, like I agree. Like Tony, I think played well last year when he was healthy, but he
Mhm.
was hurt like all year.
Yeah.
Like, and then Kenny Galladay coming over, I don't think that's a good fit in New
Didn't they
York.
get up to like 70 some million?
Yeah, they paid him way too much. You got Saquon out there who just hasn't looked the same, right? Maybe he needed another year to recover.
Mhm.
Who knows? But then like, you brought up the most important thing is Daniel Jones. Like the guy's terrible. Like at some point you have to like learn. Like you have to realize that you made a mistake. You know what I'm saying? Like obviously this wasn't the off season to like or like the draft
Right.
class to like replace him. But like if Jimmy Garoppolo gets healthy and the word on the street is gonna ask for a release, like I don't see if if they pick up a Garoppolo, like maybe, you know what I'm saying? Like he's just not gonna turn the ball over and really that's what you need for that team, right? So if that situation happens, then in the stays at 7, sure. But if you got Daniel Jones at the helm, dude, it's just another long year for New York football.
Yeah, the Giants didn't do really much of anything well last year. They were 32nd DVOA in offense, and they were bottom half of the league in defense as well. And that was kind of where they hung their hat on the year before. Was they had a great defensive matchup. I like Brian Dable. I think he's a great head coach, but I think this team is like strategically tanking for a quarterback next year because
Mm,
there's no reason to continue on with Daniel Jones, and I think they kind of like, hired Brian Dable, and that was kind of their pitch to him is like, you can go get your quarterback next year, the guy you want. You know what I
right.
mean?
Mhm.
Well, yeah, just let him do whatever the hell he wants because what you've been doing ain't working and
Yeah,
it's not getting better.
yeah.
They're regressing, you know what I mean? Like,
But I agree with Irv. I think they had a great draft. Getting Neal, who most people thought was or I'm sorry,
Top
the kid from NC
Alabama.
State, or did they get Neal? I thought
So they got Evan Neal,
yeah, they did
the
get
tackle
Evan
from
Neal.
Alabama.
Yeah, who most people thought was the best tackle in the draft. You know what I
right.
mean? That was a
Yeah, I
solid
don't.
pickup. And then you get,
Nothing.
and then what's his face? Thibodeau fucking falls in your lap. You know what I mean? So
So 2 picks that people was mocking number 1 for a good amount of time.
Right.
yep,
End up going 5 and 7. What 5 and 7? I think was it
yep,
5 and 7.
Yeah, those two picks are like a perfect description of what this draft
Mhm.
class was.
yep.
Like 10 people that could be number one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's facts. That's a great point. Yeah, I mean, I thought the Giants had a great draft, but that's not going to translate into wins this year. You know what I
Right.
mean?
I mean, they cut Bradbury, right?
Yeah.
Which we'll talk about in a little bit when we get to other teams in the East. But um, I mean, it's like cutting your best defensive play. I get it. You know what I'm saying? But those are like, when you do that, those are signs of teams that are like not really into it this year. You know what I'm saying? They're not in
Yeah,
it.
plus he wanted to get paid. So now he's on a 1 year prove it deal. So
Right.
Yeah.
And in Philly, good luck. Um, well, yeah, no, I just think the Giants stink, dude. So like, I'm gonna go under 7 for sure.
Yeah.
Like, there's no hope.
Yeah.
Get Daniel Jones out of there, dude.
All right, so we all agree on that. Let's move to the Washington Commanders. The inaugural season for the Commanders, over under is 8. And we also have a lot of drama going on right now with Daniel Snyder, their owner, could potentially get ousted this season. I guess a lot of NFL owners are not happy with him, nor should they be, because he's probably the worst owner in the NFL.
I would definitely agree with that.
What do you think about this one? Over under on the Commanders 8 games.
I'll say it's a push. I think they win exactly probably 8 games. I don't think, because with the Commanders, they picked up Carson Wentz. He's not a bad quarterback. He's proven he can get his teams to the playoffs. But like last season, like the last 6 games, dudes like fell off a cliff, and that Jaguars game looked terrible. But
Nah, he was
he
actually
might
he was actually good at the end of the year, except for that Jaguars game. That was like really his worst game of the entire season, and he picked the wrong fucking time to do that.
And then he was well, he didn't play that good against the Patriots either, but he didn't have to because the defense dominated that game. But
Right.
I don't know. Carson Wentz, man, it's all about his confidence. He's up, he's gonna play pretty good, or if he's not feeling it, or he's down, he resorts back to that Carson Wentz that the Eagles got shipped out of town. So,
Yeah.
and then another thing with them, they got to stay healthy too, because last year they got tore apart by injury. So
That's true. Good point.
hopefully they can stay healthy. If they can stay healthy, I can see them probably winning 8, 9 games, especially with the upgrade at QB, because Carson Wentz is better than what they had last year. So, and plus the division didn't get a lot better except for who's coming up. So I think they got a chance to win. I'll say 8 games, probably more, but I think it's gonna be 8. I wouldn't do the over.
Yeah, I think Carson Wentz is in trouble, dude. Like, this offensive line is basically what he left in Philly, right? It's not pass blocking is like Heineke. The reason they went with Heineke, I mean, obviously Fitz got hurt, but it's because he was fast. He can get out of the pocket and run away from the 4 fucking linemen that were coming at him pretty much every play, right? So Wentz isn't going to be able to do that. He holds onto the ball way too long. That was his biggest problem in Indy when he's indecisive or his confidence is shot. You would say, oh, well, they have a great running game in Washington. Well, he has the best running back in the NFL in Indy, and that didn't really help him too much. And like he's just one of those players that's very like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. I think we used that analogy last year. Like, he can look like an elite quarterback, and he can also look like he plays for the Detroit Lions. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, and it can all happen in the matter of 2 plays. Like, it can happen right after another, which is the crazy part. Now, the defense last year was one of the most disappointing things I've seen
Yes.
in the NFL. I mean, Jordan can attest to it.
Yep.
You know, he was all about him before the year. We both were, but I mean,
on paper, that defense looked like
it's nasty. But then they played, and then it was like, what are we doing here? Like, their biggest problem 2 years before was they'd give up like 1 or 2 big plays a half, right? And that's what they'd give up 14, 21 points. And the offense, like with Alex Smith, was just good enough, and maybe we get 24, right? But then like you come into the next year, you're thinking, well, how many steps up are they going to make? And like Chase Young did nothing,
And then he
got hurt.
Yep.
Right now, is that a sophomore jinx? Probably. Like they always say, there's like that sophomore slump, right? So I'm curious to see what the D line does this year, because that's really their bread and butter. Like, Wentz can screw it up all they want, but that defense should keep them in games.
Their secondary was awful. They actually started to turn it around halfway through the year when they moved Landon Collins to linebacker instead of playing fucking safety, which he shouldn't be playing.
Yeah, I think he should have been a linebacker from day one.
Yeah, like he's not a safety. Just like Jamal Adams isn't a good safety. But they did turn it around a little bit, and then they really started to get injuries, which kind of compounded on it after
Right.
they started looking a lot better. I expect their defense to turn it around. I expect their defense to be a top 10 defense, and that's why I think that if Carson Wentz is even remotely like above average, I think this team has a chance to win this division, to be honest.
Like if he plays as like he did last year, I mean that's an upgrade.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
because Heineke was all over the fucking place.
Dude,
Like
Heineke was
Yeah,
terrible.
he looked good that playoff game, but now he just woo.
he
Right.
he doesn't have a strong enough arm to like make every throw, but he thinks he can, which leads to fucking turnovers, dude. And that's what you have to avoid, especially on a with a defense like they had last year that couldn't get off the field on third down. You know what I mean? Like it was just a recipe for
Right.
disaster. So looking forward to bounce back, dude. I actually like them over 8 games. I think this is the only team I would play the over on in this division, to be honest.
Hmm.
And we'll talk about
Over 8, maybe.
we'll talk
I kind of
about
like the 8 number though.
yeah, I mean, I agree with both of you guys. I think 8 is probably where they land on, but I'm more inclined to take the over 8 than a team like this next team, the Philadelphia Eagles. Over under was 9, got pushed to 9.5 now. This is a team that everybody seems to be very high on, which scares me, dude, because I don't like when people all agree that a team's going to be good, because it usually ends up being the complete opposite. And that's perfect example of Washington last year, Eddie. We both thought Washington was going to be one of the better teams because we expected their defense to be that much better. I think people have the same idea of Philadelphia's offense this year. And last year, you have to keep in mind, they got really lucky, dude. They were one of the luckiest teams. I mean, they were playing teams on 4-string quarterbacks that didn't even get to practice.
Yeah, they didn't beat one team with a winning record.
Not
Like
one,
not
dude.
one.
So
Damn, so like the Cowboys.
pretty much, I mean, they're pretty similar, but this is a team that, you know, if you take into what they did last year and you really are like, you don't look at it with context about who they played and who they won against, and you just say, oh well, they were a 9-7 team or 9-8 team. They made the playoffs, you know, and they have Jalen Hurts. They upgraded with AJ Brown. You know, you're putting a lot of faith into Jalen Hurts, dude. A lot of faith.
Well, you got to, right? Like,
Yeah,
I
but I don't
mean,
even think the Eagles are.
yeah, but they weren't going to do anything this offseason. It's kind of like what we were mentioning with the Giants. You're not going to find a replacement for him, you know? Give him another chance. I mean, technically, he did take you to the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
You give him a weapon, although receiver wasn't necessarily the issue in Philly last year, in my opinion. I mean, you got to be able to hit a receiver 20 yards downfield. Like,
Yeah.
that's really what it's going to come down to. You can't just run out of the pocket every single time. Like, you're not as fast as Lamar Jackson. You don't have, the foot speed, don't have the arm talent like he does. Like, you can't play like that. You know, I don't. I think that 9 is actually a number. So if it got pushed to 9.5, guys, when I was looking at it earlier today, it said 9. I would take the under at 9.5 because I still like you didn't beat a single team that was any good. And then when you played the Buccaneers in the playoffs,
You got whopped.
like what? I took a nap during the NFL playoffs, dude. Like that's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
I mean, I think Philly's in a good position. Like, don't get me wrong, because one of two things can happen, because they have that Saints draft pick next year and they have their own. Okay, Jalen Hurts balls out. Great. We can go use those draft picks on more depth. We don't need to get a quarterback, right? So he's your guy. Or it's like he isn't that guy. Now they have opportunity to go get a good quarterback in next year's draft. Plus, they'll already have this depth that they've acquired the last 2 years in draft picks, right? So I think the Eagles, honestly, for like the next couple of years, I think they're set up nicely. I just don't have faith in Jalen Hurts to win me 10 ball games, especially considering the teams that they played last year and the wins that they had. Like, this is a great running team. They ran the ball exceptionally well last year. But I think things are going to change this year. There's a lot of film out. They're going to have a little bit tougher of a schedule. So I like the Eagles under 9.5 here. What about you, Irv?
I am being devil's advocate. I'm going over. I'm riding with my boy Jalen Hurts. The Eagles had the best offseason of any NFC East team. They added arguably a top 5, 6, definitely top 10 receiver in AJ Brown. he probably won't have as many, deep balls, but he's one of those guys that can turn a slant into a 60-yard touchdown. And
Right. And he's used to have bad quarterback play.
so I think the Eagles, especially going to be improving on defense. They did sign Bradbury. That makes an excellent pair with my boy Darius Slay. Shout out to him. Killed my Broncos last year with those interceptions and that fumble recovery. So
everyone kills the Broncos.
Not everyone. They actually did kill us. They beat our ass at home. So I'm gonna come kind of high on the Eagles. I think Dallas still takes the division, but I think the Eagles definitely can win. I'll take the over on the 9.5. I'll say Brown balls out. The thing about Jalen, he isn't like a super duper good quarterback, but he doesn't lose you games. He does enough to win games. He's not going to go out there and get you beat. So that's the thing I like about him. In that playoff, they made the playoff, but we all knew they wasn't going to beat any of those teams. So
right.
It kind of reminded me of when the first time the Panthers made the playoffs with Cam. Like, okay, they made the playoffs. You can tell they're ascending.
And they're like 7-9 or whatever, right?
Yeah, and So I think the Eagles I think they make the playoffs again, but I don't see them beat nobody in the playoffs. But I definitely think they go over the 9.5. I got them at 10 wins.
I think they have probably one of the better defenses in the division, if not the best defense.
They might have the best defense this year,
right? Especially with the upgrade, like you said, in the secondary. I don't know. I just don't like. For me, Jalen Hurts isn't. I mean, he's not a guy that's going to be super flashy, right? He's great in fantasy. He'll get you a ton of fantasy points because of all the rushing yards and everything. Now, the AJ Brown thing's interesting because, like, a lot of the last year was that he had Devontae Smith and nobody else, and Jalen Reagor dropping every other pass thrown to him, right? So, AJ Brown obviously is an improvement.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying, like, it's a good thing for the Eagles because if he isn't that guy, he has, like, no excuses. Like, he can't make any excuses with the talent that he has around him, right?
Right.
So the Eagles are truly going to know what they have in Jalen Hurts after this season, which I think only benefits them going forward. And he could improve as a passer, you know what I mean? Like, he wasn't very accurate his first year. He definitely improved accuracy last year. Can he take that next step and be that kind of quarterback? Maybe so. We'll find out.
He definitely has to be more effective throwing downfield. So
right, that was like, I mean, really, if you look at the film, like that was his biggest weakness. And the other problem is he loves throwing it downfield. So, like, if you want to do that, that's great, that's perfect, but you have to be able to complete it. You know what I mean? Like
with accuracy,
right? And it's not like he was missing by like a step. That was the other problem. Like it was miles. It felt like.
Did at some points. All right, that leads us to the team that won the division last year, the Dallas Cowboys. Over, under 10 games. Where are you guys going on this one?
Under.
I'll go over. And the only reason why I'm going over is because they have the worst strength of schedule in the entire NFL. I don't see how they did that, and they won their division. Jerry Jones,
getting to play the AFC South and the NFC North is pretty beneficial.
Right.
Yeah, so that's true. I think that's why they go over. I think in the division they probably only lose to the Eagles. Honestly, if they do lose to anybody, because I think last year they were undefeated, right? They didn't lose a division game last year, did they?
No, they didn't lose a division game.
Yeah, I don't think.
Yeah, so I think this year they either do the same or might lose one.
Probably like 5-1. Yeah.
So, and then losing Dan Quinn. Wait, Dan Quinn came back, right?
Yeah. Dan Quinn did come back.
Okay, so they should get better. The only thing with them is they give up a lot of big plays, and that's because Trayvon Diggs tries to pick everything off. He's
the worst DB in football, dude.
He takes too many chances. So
I can't stand watching him play.
They could reel that in with him. With me, honestly, they need to put Mike on the edge 24/7. He doesn't need to be sticking slot receivers and.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, trying to be he needs to be on the edge. That's his best and natural position because that's what he played in college for the most part, and he's pretty damn good at it. So I think they need to do that. Losing Randy Gregory will hurt because they lost pretty much their best. Well, he was their most natural pass rusher. I won't say their best pass rusher because that goes to Micah because he had 13.5 sacks.
Right.
So losing Randy Gregory is definitely going to hurt. They re-signed DeMarcus Lawrence. That should help because he's pretty much a run defender. He's not super duper good against the pass rush. He'll probably get you between 5 and 8.5 sacks. He's not a 10 sack guy a year. I didn't really look too much into their draft. I know that they confuse a lot of people taking that guard, or they're gonna move him to tackle
Yeah,
their
I mean,
first round there.
well, they
I
lost
think they
Lionel
need,
Collins, so they
Yeah,
had
they gotta
to
do something.
they had to
yeah, they had
replace
to do
him.
something. So they're kicking him out to tackle. They really needed to upgrade their linebacker position too, because that was
Well,
besides
they
Micah, their linebackers
Jabril
was
Cox is
terrible.
going to be in his second year, and he got hurt last year, but he was good when he was playing. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So that should be beneficial for them.
I really wanted them to get Bobby Wagner. That's what I think. If they could have got Bobby, that would have been a real upgrade for them.
That would have.
Yeah.
I don't think their defense will be as good as it was last year, especially because I don't think Trayvon Diggs will even get over 4 interceptions this year, and he had a ton last year. So
Yeah, he had 10 or 11 last year.
yeah, so
He'll probably play better if he had less interceptions, because that means he's actually
yeah,
trying
but
to
I mean, you're
play
still
defense.
getting turnovers, dude, and there's nothing more important than turning the ball over, bro.
I watched him get a turnover for a touchdown, then give up an 80-yard touchdown on the next play. That means nothing.
But he got that touchdown. You know what I mean? If he didn't get
can't-
that touchdown, then it would be a little bit different because
They cancel each other out. But yeah, I just think if he takes less risks, he'll be all right. He just bro. He got to understand he can't pick off every pass that's thrown his way.
especially in the NFL.
Yeah.
I was just curious what they're gonna do in the backfield. Like Tony Pollard needs to be getting more snaps.
He's probably gonna out
think-
carry Elliott this year.
I hope so, but
He should be there. Elliott should be the change of pace back, dude.
Yeah,
Like,
not Zeke. Jones and that offensive coordinator love him some Zeke, man. I don't know what it is, bro.
yeah, that's
They
that
paid
fat
him hella
contract
money,
he got.
dude. So they're like, we're gonna
Yeah,
give you
I know Cowboy fans are happy they could cut him after this year, but paying Zeke cost them Amari Cooper, and it cost them, well, now being that offset language in the contract cost them Randy Gregory, but I don't know. They should have kept Amari.
Nah, dude. Nah, you gotta get rid of Amari when you can, dude.
I don't know, because you
No,
should look
you
at
shouldn't say
He only
Dak's
plays like
numbers
6 games
with
a
and
year,
without,
dude.
Amari Cooper. Dak's numbers with and without Amari Cooper are like
Yeah, it's
significantly
night and
different.
day. Yeah.
Yeah, but again, he only plays 6 games a year. In the big games, he disappears. You know what I mean? Like,
Nah, not all the time.
Yeah, I wouldn't say.
dude,
He's a good wide receiver, bro.
he's good, but I
number
don't.
one. You don't just get rid of number one wide receivers. They don't grow on trees.
Yeah, and I don't know if CeeDee Lamb is that guy either. Like, I think he'll be a good wide receiver, but is he a number 1 wide receiver? I don't know.
I think he could be a number one, but the thing about it is Dallas is fast tracking it. They're not letting him sit and learn and grow behind an actual number one. They just want him to be that dude from day one, and he's super confident. He think he's ready for that because a lot of people did have him ranked number 1 coming out in that draft. So I get it, but I think he still could benefit from having a veteran that could show him the ropes a little more, because his first year it was a little drops was a little bit of the problem. His second year he got a lot better. Kind of broke out a little bit, but he's gonna be the man this year. So we got to see if he's ready for it.
Yeah, I feel like he was always a better number 2 in my opinion. But
He only had 1 catch in the playoff game too. Kind of disappeared.
What killed me is they gave Gallup that deal after tearing his ACL.
I know, dude.
Right.
That wasn't that. I don't think
That had to be like a panic move, right? They knew they were losing Cooper.
Yeah.
Dude,
they could have paid Juju less than that.
Yeah, that was a pretty questionable signing, but I mean, I'm pretty sure the language in the contract, though, they can probably get out from it pretty easily.
Yeah, I haven't looked into it. But yeah, I just didn't understand that one. And they wasn't that busy in free agency. They lost a lot and didn't get back much. Well, Dante Fowler could be a solid pass rusher, but we know what he's going to be. He's not going to change the outcome of the game.
He's a good piece.
Yeah, he's just going to be a good piece. He's going to be a good part to the whole. So I think the Cowboys could have did a lot more this offseason. Not like they didn't have the money to spend. It's just they just want to spend what they want to spend on players and not what the market dictates, and that kind of holds them back. Plus, Jerry loves his guys. The guys that he draft, he's trying to hold on to them hand over foot. So we'll see if it works out for him.
You better hope it does. So,
but having the worst schedule in the league, that's definitely gonna benefit.
Oh yeah, I
mean
it's weird.
Yeah. Are you going over too, Eddie?
Over, only because of their strength of schedule. Like in playoffs, they'll be 1 and done. So yeah, to answer your question, yeah, I'll take the over.
Damn, I'm gonna go under here. I'm gonna go under.
Dude, like talent wise, you should. We all should, but like again, I mean, you get to play the football team or the Commanders, excuse me, the Giants. I mean, that's 4 wins right there. Probably split with Philly 5. Then you get the Jaguars. You get the fucking, the Titans. We have
Commanders
no
could be
idea what the
difficult,
Titans are going to
bro.
be.
Commanders could be a difficult out, man.
Could be.
It could, but we depend. That's us banking on them being healthy and Wentz actually being the player that we know.
Yeah, I mean,
and that's a big ass because he's been really inconsistent. So
yeah, dude. I don't know. I
and
mean,
sometimes he got a tendency to have the worst turnovers at the worst time.
Yeah.
throwing it left-handed from his own goal line.
Like, bro, what was you thinking, man? Like, just live to fight another play.
I feel like we saw a bunch of those picks last year. Like Stafford had one, Kyler Murray had one in the playoff game.
Jimmy Garoppolo had a terrible one.
It's like, what are they quarterback? Isn't that like the number one thing a quarterback learns is like protect the football? I don't know.
Or know when to give up. You can't.
Right. They're just like, fuck, I can't see.
Yeah, just throw.
You got it.
It'll be interesting. I'm gonna go under. I might change my mind, but I just think this division isn't gonna be as good as. Well, obviously we don't think they're gonna be good, but I don't know.
Division isn't good, but they're even though they didn't upgrade a lot during the offseason, they still the defending champ, and they went undefeated against the division last year. So until someone shows that they could beat them, then you got to ride with them. It's kind of like in the AFC West. You got to beat the Chiefs to be the champ to win the division. So until somebody does beat them, you got to give it to them.
That's true. That's good points. All right, we got any best bets for tomorrow, fellas?
Y'all could go first. Let me look something up.
I mean, the Warriors will probably win, right? But I'm not looking at just the game. Like, if you want to look at the extended line, like if they win, they're gonna fucking break their hearts, break their spirits, right? So it'd be like a 7 to 10 point win. So I'm looking at that Warriors extended line, probably get it like -5.5. If it's similar to the last game, which was 4.5 when they were getting 2, now they're only getting 1. You get it at plus like 200 roughly. So I like that. And just because I really need the Flames to win, we're taking the Flames money line just to hope to even that series up.
Oh, shit. I got a best bet for tomorrow. I like the Boston Red Sox and the Chicago White Sox under 7.5 runs. Both teams are coming into the series hot, but I like the under here for a variety of reasons. Number one, Dylan Cease has an expected FIP of 2.59. He's really only had one bad start, which really affected his ERA against the Yankees. And even with that, he's only giving up 29% of his contact as being hard hit. And Boston is 15th in hard hit percentage. Nick Pivetta is only walking 8% of his batters, and the White Sox don't walk much, less than 8% of their at-bats. Also, the White Sox are 27th in the majors in WRC plus versus right-handed pitching, so they're not good against righties. And lastly, the White Sox are hitting under in 8 of their last 10 games, and the Red Sox on the road are hitting under 60%. Are hitting the under 60% of the time. So I love this under in this White Sox-Red Sox game tomorrow. Or if you like anything tomorrow?
I'm going to do the under on the Phillies and the Braves. Under.
Ooh. Phillies, Braves, under. What is it at? 8?
8.
8 runs. Who's pitching for the Braves tomorrow?
Luke Jackson is pitching. And
Gibson and Fried. That's a good matchup. Fried
Gibson and Max. Yeah, I'll say under.
Max Fried's nasty.
But if they could get to him early, then we might be in trouble. But after like the first inning, he's pretty lights out.
I will say though, the Phillies rake left-handed pitching, bro.
All right, so we're gonna see. I think Fried get.
Be careful. Fried usually you could throw out like left-handed splits because Fried is usually pretty fucking lights out. He's an ace, but
yeah, they suck against Fried though. I think he won like 6, 7 in a row against him.
Well, I mean the Phillies fucking sucked last year and the year before. They're decent this year. They're doing all right.
They're 20-22. The Braves are 19-23.
Yeah, the Braves are one of the most disappointing teams of the year so far. Easily.
Yeah, that's what happens, dude. You fucking pay for a fucking ace player, and this is what happens.
Well, I mean, dude, Olsen was great the first month of the season, but he's kind
Yeah,
of
wasn't he batting like 360 or some shit?
bro,
Like
he was
Yeah.
only
that?
400 the first month, dude. But he's kind
Yeah,
of
wait till the
yeah.
second half of the year, dude. Olsen's a second half player. He always
Yeah.
gets hot and fucking at the dog days of August, dude.
Damn, his batting stance is only 244 now. He was damn near hitting 400.
yeah, nah, he's been struggling, bro. But I mean, like
Yikes.
honestly, that whole lineup's been struggling. It hasn't been good for them. Thank y'all for joining us. It's getting late, so we gotta get the fuck out of here. Y'all have a great Tuesday. Enjoy the Warriors closing out the Mavericks in 4 games. Enjoy the NHL playoffs. For Eddie, I hope the Flames win, but I don't think
Me too, dude.
it might happen tomorrow. I thought this was gonna be a 7-game series regardless.
Yeah.
And there's a great slate of MLB on tomorrow. We got 15 games of Major League Baseball tomorrow, so make sure to tap in, research, don't make bad bets. Hopefully our bets can get y'all to the window with some money. Make sure to go to Devour.com or download the Devour app straight to your mobile device and use promo code Taproom for $10 off your first purchase of $25 or more. Craft beer delivered straight to your front door. You ain't even got to leave your fucking house. You can do it all on your phone. We're going to get the fuck out of here. Y'all have a great night. I will be back tomorrow night with Ben. We'll be recapping the day and looking ahead for the next day. And I'll be back with these two guys maybe on Wednesday. One of them I'll definitely be back on with. But we'll see y'all later. Have a great Tuesday.